I have a story today I would like to share with you. 1.5 years ago, approximately, I went to a training in Brussels, SAFE training, conducted by Joe Vallon from the Scale Agile organization. And at this point of time, within the context I was operating on, I was sure that SAFE is a solution for the organization, for big organizations to scale Agile. Since then, I joined SEB, which is a Swedish bank, and they were in Agile Transformation, or Agile Evolution, as we heard this morning, ongoing, and SAFE implementation. I joined SEB as a Chief Scrum Master, and my main mission as a Chief Scrum Master was to make sure that the tribe I'm working with is delivering, following SAFE as a framework, following SAFE as an Agile methodology to deliver it. So, as a Chief Scrum Master, when I started this journey there, I said, okay, first, let's inspect where we are with this evolution or with this transformation, this implementation. And what I found is that, first of all, we have tribes. So we have defined our tribes. We have a bunch of teams working together. And these teams are Agile teams. We call them Agile teams. They are developers. They are together working with business. They are even sitting together. So it's a good thing. Business is sitting together with developers. They are on a daily basis communicated, understanding what is going on, and so on. We had team iterations. So each of our teams were working iteratively. So they are created iterations. They are working following Scrums or any other Agile framework we have, and delivering iteratively. We had what we call in SEB big room planning, or in SAFE PI planning. So it means that we had 2-day events where all these teams are coming together, planning together, and going out of this room, understanding the dependency and understanding what is the plan for the next quarter. We had review meetings. So each of our quarter, we had review meetings where we review what we have delivered, and we presented what we have delivered to our business. We had backlogs. So for each of our teams, we have backlogs defined with epics, user story, task. So we had a really good structure of the backlog. We have been working also with initiatives more than with projects, because if you know SAFE, you know that they don't want any projects there. So we are working with initiatives more within project. We still have some projects, but we are working with initiatives. And we even have a portfolio Kanban. So it means that on an organizational level or on our department level, we had a Kanban where we show some items which are under delivery and what is prioritized or something. So we had some visualization of what we are doing. But then, if I learned something as a project manager in my previous career as a project manager, is to listen to my stakeholders. So I decided to listen to my stakeholders, go to my stakeholders, understand what is their perception about this Agile transformation. How do they feel it? And among the really good feedbacks I've received, that we are working together, we are able to plan together, we are able to do a lot of things together, we are more transparent on what is going on. I received some interesting feedback as well, like, okay, we are not really sure what are the priorities currently under delivery. So I had some product owners telling me, I'm not really sure what should I prioritize now. I don't know. I'd also received some feedbacks, okay, that's good, we had the backlog, but we don't really understand the requirements. We don't really understand what is going on there. Receive also some feedback saying that, okay, this is a good transformation, we are in a good way to do that, but I'm not really sure to whom I should address my needs as a project manager, for example. So I have a project and I'm not sure to whom I should address these needs. Also, one feedback which scared me a bit is, I'm not sure at all what is my role. What is my role in this organization? In this new organization, in this new transformation, what is my role? So by listening to this old feedback, I was wondering, okay, so something is not right, or something is maybe not, we are missing some part here. So I went a bit herb, and I wanted to understand something, what for our management it means, this transformation. I went to Johan Forsberg, which is head of corporate function and internal site in our bank, and I went to him and asked a simple question: what does it mean for you to this transformation or this implementation? And what he told me is that for him it's really important that our teams deliver the right things in the right way and faster. And to do that, he wants our teams to work together, development or IT together with business, to remove the obstacles, to be able to work together to emphasize that we are in the one boat. We are not separated entities. Okay? Also, what is really mentioned and really emphasized is that it's really important for him that we understand our capacity of development, that we have full transparency on how much time we can spend on actual development. And the last sentence he told me actually makes me really believe that it's really someone who understands what we are doing, is that he told me that framework implementation actually is nothing if we don't have the mindset behind it. So we can implement a really nice framework, but if we don't have the mindset, the agile mindset behind it, it will maybe not work the way we want or the way we were expecting it to work. And when I joined ACB at this few months ago, what I was really impressed of is that this company has a clear understanding why we are doing this transformation. And it's not to be agile, but they have some clear understanding why they want to go to this path. And they want to have the SAFe to support them to go there. But then, with all this feedback, with all this information from the stakeholders, I start to think a bit about how should we move on. And this is a topic that we have been discussed last year in this conference as well, with Joshua, with Miguel, in this Agile by Examples. I think a really important part, and this is something that we need to think about, is find our agility. Find your agility. We had in SCB an understanding why we need it on a company level, but then for me, for example, as a Chief Scrum Master, I'm working with tribes, I'm working with few teams, I'm not working with the whole organization. So for me, it's important to understand what does it mean for my department? What does this agility mean for my department? Why does it mean for the teams? Each of the particular team we have in our development, in our department. What does that mean for each of the roles we have? Does that mean that we will change them? Do we need to change anything? Do we need to change the role of the executive person? Do we need to change anything? And this is some important points that I want to mention. Then when I start to understand that I need to define my own agility, I start to work with the people and start to work with, okay, so what does it mean? Let's, for example, take an example. Team managers. So we have managers which are working with the teams, which are helping the team to develop themselves and so on. But what do they mean for them, this transformation? So let's work with these people together to define with them together what does it mean, what in the new model it will mean for them to work as team managers. What are the new aspects of this delivery? Okay. Also, something really important is to define our KPIs. So when I said that we need to find our agility, this is what I mean. We need to understand what it means for us to be agile. Where do we want to go? So let's say if I say today to you, for me, being agile for my product, for my current delivery, is to deliver or to release in production once a month. Is it being agile for you? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on your product. It depends on your context. So I think it's really important that you always look at your own agility and what you are doing. You define your KPIs. So for example, what we have started to do is we are looking to our time to market. We are currently looking to we have been looking to our time to market to understand where we are, what do we have now, how much time do we take to release. And then we can have some data to go to our stakeholders, to go to our business and understand, is that something which is good for you? Is it fast enough? Or should we improve? And how can we improve? What is the issues we have or the blockers we have currently that and make us not able to improve? Is it because we have some issue with environments? Is it because we have some issue with the calendars and we have some freezing period and so on? So what are the issue? Why do we have that? Okay, so that was one step. Then I thought about what do I want me for as a chief scrum master. I want to make sure that my tribe is predictable, or the tribe I'm working on are predictable. I want to make sure that I understand when we can release what. So the when we can release, it's all about capacity. How much time do we have to develop, to test, and to do all these development activities we have to do. So we need to understand how much time we can spend on it. So how much time we can exclude of it as well. So we have been working also on finding the maintenance part. How much time do we spend on maintenance? So it's time that we cannot spend on development. And this, again, is a team activities. I don't want to have numbers on the tribe level, more or less. I want to have numbers on the team by team level, because each team is different. So I start with one team, I start small, and I implement it I scale it to the rest of the teams, because I know what is working for this team and what we can implement for the other teams. So I have defined these KPIs, and we step by step implement more and more KPIs like this. Okay. Also, when I said what we need to develop, you remember I've told you that we had some issue with the priorities. And this is where also we had to focus a bit, to define what is our products. Andy mentioned it also just before. Are we sure that we have the correct product definition currently in place? Because if we are not able to have the correct priorities, it maybe means that we are not able to have the correct decision makers. So we have defined our products, we have defined our value flow. Let's say what Seth is saying as a value flow, to make sure that we are able to take the correct decision. Which product do we have? What are the product? What are the priorities on this particular product? Because if we discuss about different products, we have different stakeholders, and it's almost impossible to have one single list of priority where we can say that this is priority 1, this is priority 2, and so on. Everyone will come with different kind of priorities. Okay, so we define also our products, we define what it means for us, which kind of product do we have. Also, what was interesting was this portfolio Kanban. So based on SAFe, we are fine. We have a portfolio Kanban. But what we check when we open this portfolio Kanban is that we had a lot of items in progress. More than 100 items in progress at this time. So we try to understand why do we have it? Where do we struggle? So we implement more statuses where we can see how much time do we spend on each of the activities, and where are we struggling? Where is the issue? Where do we have some such kind of bottlenecks in our process? So we define our KPIs. It's one of the keys. But also I think what is really important is track them. So you define your KPI and you track them based on what you are doing. Implement small pieces of work, and then see how your KPIs are going. Are they going in the good direction, in the bad direction? If they're going in bad direction, take some corrective action or understand what is going on with this KPIs. Why are we going not in the direction we were actually hoping for? And to do that, it's always easier to do it with a small part of the organization. If you look around on the big organization, a lot of big organizations currently are doing the startup inside, or startup model inside the big organization. And I think this is something really important also to take in consideration. And this is actually one of the principles of Agile Manifesto. We need to release shorts, or we need to release small parts, small pieces. So why we should do the transformation differently? Let's start with some small part. Let's experiment, let's try, and let's scale it what is working. Let's scale some model what is working. And to wrap up a bit on this 15 minutes talk, I think what is really important to understand is that scaling Agile is not about the framework. Agile actually is not about the framework you are using, it's about the mindset behind it. I will give you one example to compare it to. When I moved to Lithuania in Vilnius to live there, I went to a shop, supermarket like Biedronka in Poland, and I wanted to buy a baguette because I'm French, and for me a baguette is something really important. So French people use a baguette. So I decided to go there and to buy a baguette, and there it was. I found a baguette which were called French baguette. I said, yeah, very good. That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. I bought it. I tried to hit it. I just tried. Because it was nothing to do with a French baguette. It has no taste, it has nothing similar to a French baguette. So it's exactly the same with any framework that we are selling out of the market. If you are implementing a framework blindly just to have a checklist, it doesn't mean you will be agile. So make sure you define your agility and you apply it the way it works for you, for your company, for your context. Thank you.